Welcome, welcome. Thank you very much for coming to this, I hope, a little bit different talk than what you've seen so far. My name is Alexander Chatzizacharias blah, blah, blah. I have a couple of hobbies. I occasionally boulder. I have a way too expensive Magic the Gathering card collection. I don't know, anybody else collecting Magic cards here? A couple people, nice. I went to Magic Barcelona yesterday, spent, again, way too much money. This will shock you, I'm sure, but I like video games. And I like playing video games, and I like making video games. That is a little bit what I'll be showing today as well. Any other gamers sitting here by any chance? Wow. It's Barcelona, gaming capital of the world, looks like. I work at a small consultancy in the Netherlands called J-Driven. So we were like 30 people there, consulting mainly on GVM technologies. And that's all I have to say about me. So a talk like this typically has some sort of origin story, right? How does this get started? And a couple of months ago, I was talking to a colleague about technologies used on GVM to build microservices mostly. And we're talking, and then of course you talk Spring Boot, or you talk Quarkus, et cetera, Java EE, or building our own solution. Don't know why, but we go to there. And then I caught myself saying this. I don't like Spring or Spring Boot because there's too much magic happening. Has anybody heard this phrase before? Has anybody said this phrase before? No. I'm pretty sure if I go to a Quarkus conference, it's going to be a different answer. But then I realized this is not necessarily a problem, a Spring Boot problem, that is a me problem, because I never invested the time to actually understand what Spring is doing underwater, and I just used it as it's out of the box and just assumed things worked, right? So then I was like, okay, I want to learn how Spring does things out of water. When I learn things, I typically tend to make games to try and understand things or how things work, and that is a little bit how this started. Now, the initial thing I want to do is kind of show you how Spring works underwater via games, but as this evolved, I was having a lot of fun with it, and even more fun. So basically today, I'm just going to try to have fun with you all for the upcoming 50 minutes. I don't know if I'm going to teach you anything or no. That's for you to decide, but I hope you all have fun with me. So with that, just know everything you'll see today, of course, no shocker, is built using Spring Web, to be sure, to be more precise, using Kotlin. Any other Kotlin people here by any chance? A couple, nice. And the front ends are typically built using Java Swing. Some people are like, ooh. Anybody else that has done something with Java Swing? 20 years ago. Now I feel old. But yeah, I know Java Swing quite okay, so that's mostly why I use it, and of course, it's already in your class path, right? So it's a bundle with Java. All right, so with that, first question, does anybody know which game launched the video game industry in the 70s? Oh, well, so you guys are educated. Yes, Pong. So when started with a project like that, the first thing you typically want to do is verify your assumptions. Verify that you can actually start a game out of a Spring context and start a so-called game loop. So when you're programming games, the first thing you need is a game loop that runs every X milliseconds. So if you're running at 60 frames per second, the game loop will run at 60 milliseconds, so it will end at 128 milliseconds, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right. I really kind of wanted to see how early I could hook into the life cycle of Spring. Interestingly, did you know that Spring sets this headless argument to true every time you start it? Because Spring is like, okay, you do not need a GUI or anything like that. So if you set this to true, it will offload all the Java Swing and all the front-end classes from your class path, which arguably something you want, but if you're making games, something you really do not want. So you can change that to that. And then what we're going to do is we have this new bean registrar interface that I released a couple of months ago by now to even more programmatically, in a better way, register beans. And what we're going to do here is, or what we want to do is, when we register a bean, we're going to stop the registration process. We're going to play a game of Pong. And based off who wins, we're going to register bean A or B, or bean B. And then, hopefully, there we go. And then we have a little AI that is not very good. Otherwise, I'll lose, talking from experience. And then you can move, play a game of Pong against the AI. What? So I won, and as you can see, we stopped the bean registration, waiting for the game of Pong to complete, and after it was done, we registered the super cool service instead of the kind of cool service. So you can hook in to the whole Spring lifecycle quite early, I would argue, and you can spawn a J component or a Java window as early as you want. So that is pretty cool. That is something we want. So with that, we kind of verified the assumption that indeed we can spawn a GUI out of a Spring Web context and do stuff with it. All right. Who knows in which year Spring Framework was released? 0.9. I hear 2000 Yes. 2003, nailed it. What games were you playing in 2003? Warcraft 3, that's a good game. Does anybody remember this? So when I was thinking about what I was playing in 2003, I remember having this phone, this huge-ass Nokia thing, walking around playing Snake. And then I was starting to look into that Snake game, and surprisingly, it was built using Java Swing. So I found the jar file of that thing. I couldn't use it one-on-one because they did all kinds of things to make it work on Nokia. But I extracted the sprites and the art from it. And you can now play Snake. By the way, always change your Spring banner. And then here you have it. Snake XE2 Spring Edition. It's a little bit slow, but the games back then were also slow. I don't know if you remember. So how does this work a little bit? So the Pong game used a Kotlin coroutine for the loop. And I figured like Kotlin coroutines, that's a little bit boring, a little bit basic. Can anybody guess what I used for to do the loop? Almost gave it away there. To do the loop for the Snake game. At scheduled. Very nice. Here you go. So you basically schedule this at a fixed rate of a tick rate, which in this case is 500. So if I change this to 100, basically you're telling, OK, I want this scheduled job to run every 100 milliseconds. And here you go. So now you have a Spring-managed game loop. And as you can see here, the ticks are going as expected, right? All right, let's do it. And then furthermore, so we have a repository with a repository annotation, and we have the services as you would expect them with a service annotation, you know, with all the stereotypes that you were expected, and you basically use the whole Spring Bean lifecycle to do things. And that works, and that's quite nice. But that means if we can use @scheduled and pass in a property, that means we can also use spell expressions to pass in and calculate the frame rate using a spell expression. Which year did Spring Framework 1.0 release? 2000. That one is easy. 2004. There was a very popular game that released in 2004. Can anybody remember? Half-Life 2? Really? Oh man, that would have been a good one. Could have called it Half-Life Spring and a Half or something. No, but not Half-Life. Does anybody know World of Warcraft? Yeah? Anybody still playing World of Warcraft? A couple? No, I did not make World of Warcraft using Spring. But there was also, and this one I played a lot. Halo 2, more specifically. Any people that played Halo? Oh man, that game is amazing. So I figured, let's see if we can make a shooter in Spring. Wait, let's just start it first. And then we'll see what it does, and I'll explain a little bit how it works afterwards. By the way, if you have questions, insults, criticism, just throw them, it's fine. And I made this, and I could not put the main menu music on the back. So if the conference gets copyright stricken by Microsoft, I'm sorry, I get. All right. So we have this little shooter, and we can shoot. We can reload, and then you can see there's an enemy there. And that enemy has a name, but what this is, and then and then we can press P to end the tutorial, and then we can start level 1. And as you can see, this is a completely different level. And then we can walk here. Can anybody guess how I do the level scene management, so to say? Wait, let me kill this one. And as you can see, so every bean in the context is what I use to spawn enemies. And then as you destroy them, I remove the beans from the application context. Because a lot of times I had like this question, do I really need all these things in my application context? And right now you can actually find out if you really need it, because as you remove it, the game still is running fine. So I don't know what an internal event listener processor is, but I don't need it. Or, gotta reload. Property placeholder auto configuration. The internal scheduled annotation processor was definitely necessary. Now, so you saw there were some levels here. So I have this tutorial level, and the whole level design is basically in your application YAML. So this is the level, and this is level 1, pretty much. And basically, did you know you can react to your application being killed in Spring? I had no idea. So you can actually catch the event that is killing the application. You can react to it. And what I do is when I catch the event, I basically restart the application, but with a different configuration profile. So, I restarted with level 1. And like that, you basically have scene management, a level management built into Spring just by switching application profiles as you go. There might be a small problem that the application has to quit and restart, but that is a problem for future us. So yeah, what else do we do here? Anything else cool that we do here? So again, apart from that, everything is as you would expect it. So the at schedule doing the with fixed with a spell expression calculating the frame rate, which is 1,000 times 60, which is the frame rate that we wanted, and then again had the services, etc., all as you would expect it in a typical Spring Boot application. I'm making assumptions there that you would expect it like this, but let's hope that is how you use Spring. All right, we're continuing to the year that Spring Data was released. Anybody got a clue? Arguably one of the most used starters when it comes to Spring, right? Anybody want to take a yes? 3, 2, 2009? You're close, 2011. In 2011, there was also an indie game that was released that is immensely popular, and to this day is receiving updates. You're all very close. Minecraft released in 2008. Sorry? There you go. Terraria. So, or I called it first Spring Aria, but that doesn't really sound nice. So let's go with Springcraft, okay? So yeah, should I show the code first, or how it works, or show the game first? How it works first, okay. So, of course, when we're using Spring Data, so we're going to use the repositories as they are. So basically, we have tiles, because Terraria as a game is built using a 2D grid, right, tiles. And basically, then every single tile in the world is abstracted by a repository, by a Spring repository, a Spring managed repository. And as you can see, even the method names is exactly as you would expect them from a GPA repository. And basically, as we'll be moving around, you'll see that we're querying this repository for tiles and doing things with tiles, right? The game loop is pretty much the same. We have a player class, which will be doing things. But what's interesting here, you'll see a player in action service. And here is the first time I introduced my own annotation with sound. So you basically annotate a method you can annotate any method with this, and when it's called, it's going to play a sound, right? So I think if you see this, it makes a lot of sense what this is going to do, probably. This is in a different service, right, next to the player. Even though the player should have its own jump method, arguably. Does anybody know why I did this? What happens when you proxy a bean in Spring? Come on, you know these people. So when you proxy a bean, the CGlib basically creates this proxy around it, and basically it intercepts calls to the calling class. So if you are has anybody ever tried to call an atransactional method from the same class that you write? That doesn't work. And it's exactly the same here. So I've abstracted it away to a different service, and then it works. There's another way of solving this, and when I found out, I was disgusted to the core. You can self-reference the player class. So you can inject the player in the player, and instead of doing jump, you can do player.jump, and that works. But that just felt so disgusting. I just could not do that. So we didn't do that. So we have with sound, and then we have like the bean processor, and then we also have with looping sound. So because we're also having sounds, background music that is going to be looping, right? So yeah, let's give this a try. And all right, let's move this a little bit up. You all understand what this is supposed to be, right? Okay, good, because I'm very insecure about my pixel art skills. All right, you're going to hear some background music. Was anybody at the Arconia talk earlier today? So did you know that Thomas is also a music composer? Because this is made by him, so thank you very much. Okay. Oh. Java. Does anybody know who this is? Java. So that is Venkat, the Rockstar speaker. And then, of course, we have... Spring. Does anybody know who that is? Spoiler alert, he's giving talk right there, right now. I wonder if he can hear this. And then we have... data. Okay, the next one is going to be loud, so maybe turn down the sound a little bit. Does anybody know Nano War of Steel and the Hello World.java song? Yeah? I won't do that again. As I walk around, by the way, you can see that I love explosions, but they're a little bit distracting. You can see that I'm entering certain caves, right?
Java.
So a game like Terraria, so you can, of course, dig around. You can build around, and then you can go lower. So a game like Terraria has like these intricate cave systems. This is what the cave system looks like. This is what the world is. Every cave is a bean in the application context. So can you guess what the cave system is? It's your dependency graph. So I grabbed the dependency graph, calculate it, and overlaid it over the simple noise that I generate for the world, and then you have a cave system. So I don't know why people are doing like intricate, weird algorithms to create perfect caves in Minecraft and these games. Just grab your dependency graph, and you're there. Another thing you can do, so in games, when you have settings, you typically want these settings to be persistent, right? So once you quit the game and you restart the game, the settings should be the same. So if I change this jump force to like -21, see, and jump, go super high. Next time I start the game, I want it to be there at -21 as well. Okay, I'm going to stop it. The explosion is getting a little bit distracting. Can anybody guess how that works? Sorry? DB? No, man, that is way too straightforward. Huh? Save to file, also way too straightforward, but pretty close. So what if I told you, look at your configuration properties, and don't see them as something static before your application starts, but see them something dynamic that can change during your application run, right? So here, basically, I have this my application YAML, and I just change the jump force. All the classes to do this are already on class path because Spring uses them internally to read the application YAML, et cetera, et cetera. So you can basically create dynamic application properties as you run your application. Can you imagine self-learning Spring Boot applications that change their own properties as they're going? Might be onto something here. And that all works. And I have to say, especially that with Sound thing, I implemented that and was like, I use Unity 3D, like a game engine, quite a lot for my hobby projects, and I implemented that. I was looking at it like, why doesn't Unity have this? That is so nice. It's so straightforward. All right. Let's continue. We're going to the year that Spring Boot was released. Anybody knows? Sorry? Yeah. Nailed it. There was the second installment of a game, but the whole series is immensely popular right now. Ever since. Can anybody guess? Oh man, you play? Dark Souls? So indeed, Dark Souls. Well, I like to call it this is the Prepare to Enterprise edition. You're going to see a lot of things, and you're going to hear awesome music by Thomas again, by the way. So the first thing to understand is, since we use Spring Boot, why not collect metrics, right? So everything we'll be doing in the game is going to be collected and sent to a Grafana dashboard. So we can basically check how much damage did we deal, how much rolls did we do, how much HP do we have, what is our current status, are we up or down, you know? Why look at it in the game when you can watch it in the dashboard? The game loop is basically as you would expect it by now, like at a scheduled tick. So all the services and the repositories are as you expected. So I think I'll just start playing the game. I would ask somebody to play this, but it's super janky. All right, so walking around, as you would expect in Dark Souls, we have an enemy. God damn. My God. Maybe I shouldn't face hugging like this. Oh, there we go. All right. So we have gotten an authority, and this door only opens if you have a certain authority. Can anybody guess what I use? I think you all guessed it, huh? So this uses Spring Security underwater to get the authority that you need to open the door. And wait, maybe quickly take a look at our, there we go, these are our dashboards. So these are HP 70, stomach, we are up right now, so that's good. Our potion charges, you can have trends for your HP over time, how you rolled, it's all very important. Oh, an enemy that tried to shoot you off camera, like in every Dark Souls game. And then we'll go here. Another key. And then we can roll. Super cool. All right, all right. I've done this so many times, and I think by now I can defeat them quickly without dying. There goes one. God. There we go. Okay. So and then we get the architect authority. Wait, let me drink a potion, as is Dark Souls tradition. And then, all right. So this is what I like to call the scrum wall. He's pretty difficult. It's okay. I'll lose. All right. Not that I dislike the music, but having while I explain things, maybe. Okay. So you saw the metrics, you saw the dashboards, they work. Why ever have dashboards about anything interesting like? I think I also tracked the GVM pressure at some point. Yeah, I mean, not super interesting. This is where the magic is happening, right? Our player status is down because, well, we died. Of course, our health, if you may name something a health indicator, you're basically inviting people like me to use that as the health system in the game, right? So you saw the boss HP, the enemy HP, the player HP, everything you see on the UI is going through actuator and the health endpoints. And then when I say it's going through actuator, I mean that to the most literal sense. Because what I do, I was looking through the documentation for actuator, and did you know they never say or write that you shouldn't call your own actuator endpoint from an application. So, and then I hear all these talks about, being decoupled and modulates, et cetera, decoupling between UI layers, et cetera. So what I do is I call my own actuator health point. And then in the, for example, in the HP, I put all the details, like the HP, all the details to calculate the UI, what the UI element should show, put it in the details, and that is how the UI is rendered. So I do a REST call to my own actuator endpoint to get the data I need to visualize the HP and the stamina and everything. And it works. And I don't know. This might be starting to fall in the category, don't do this at home, I guess. Everything I've shown so far is good to do at home, by the way. And of course, we talked about the security stuff. So we have the security config and the door service that basically checks, do you have a certain authority to pass this door? And if you don't have the authority, well, tough luck, go get your authority. And it doesn't necessarily need to be given through a GWT token that goes through a whole security chain or whatever. You can just give it programmatically, and it all works. So that works quite nice. By the way, if you're wondering, this one is not built using Java Swing. It's using the lightweight Java game library, which is like GPU bindings and stuff like that. It was pure hell to work with, and that comes from someone that used Java Swing for the rest. So yeah, that is a little bit everything. I think And of course, the repositories, is, as you would expect it, all the potions are basically in a repository. And by now, this is a little bit how things start to work, right? Here. All right. I have one last thing game to show you. Which year was Spring Boot released? 2022. Nailed it. There was a game, I'm a huge fan of this game, that released in 2022. Indie game, made with HTML5. Anybody can guess? Sorry? No. Sorry? Hollow Knight, no. Oh, that would be a good one as well. Huh? Anybody know Vampire Survivors? Yeah? Anybody that played Vampire Survivors? Good. I like to call, my version is Enterprise Survivors. That one really resonated with me. And for this one, I thought to myself, okay, let's just go to the max. How would Spring Boot look like to me if it was like a game development framework? So first that I started introducing my own annotations for things. For example, if we go to the game loop, suddenly instead of @service, this is an @game manager. And this is basically a stereotype annotation that lets people know this is a game manager and you can inject it left or right. Works, right? So it doesn't necessarily need to be @service. Okay, so I'm a huge metal fan. Any other metal fans here? Okay, you're gonna love the upcoming 10 minutes. Any people that hate metal music by any chance? Okay, then we're good. So I think, okay, what if we played Vampire Survivors? Vampire Survivors, for people that don't know, it's a game where you are the boss, so to say. So you're spawning a lot of bullets and you're defeating hordes of enemies as they're coming towards you. And I thought to myself, what if we made a rhythm game out of that? What if we just had to move on the rhythm? So basically, the whole game is built on top of Spring events. So every beat in the game is an event that is getting raised, and then everything UI elements or the player is basically reacting on that event. So as you can see it here, so we have an event listener on the beat. And here we have a looping sound, and this is the tick. And for the people that are very observant, you already saw this, but there is no @scheduled annotation here. But this will, hopefully, if everything works, run again every 16 milliseconds. Can anybody guess how that works then? So we have our own scheduling config, which basically is a declarative way of doing @scheduled instead of imperatively with an annotation. And we configure the task. And then when using @scheduled, I'm used to using Spring schedule expressions or cron jobs, but they're not necessarily the same as Unix cron jobs, right? So Unix cron jobs go up to 5 numbers. Spring has 6 numbers. Spring can parse month, fry, so they can parse letters. Unix can parse letters. So they're not exactly the same, but they're pretty similar. But that is how I'm used to using @scheduled. So I thought, well, if Spring already went down to seconds, why stop there? Why not go down to milliseconds, right? So you can basically quite easily make your own cron trigger on milliseconds, and basically all that you need to do is parse the first field, the 7th field, which in our case is milliseconds, and then parse the rest as a normal cron expression, and that works. So and this is really cool because now you can do things like, hey, during business hours, I want 60 frames per second, and in the weekends, you can have 120 frames per second. And I don't know, I'm starting to feel, the more I dive into this, I start to feel that this is pretty much how AI companies work with us, and what we are allowed to use when we use Cloud Code or anything like that. So during business hours, You are at 5% capacity. In the weekends, you could do whatever you want. So yeah, don't do this at home. This is definitely the don't do this at home category. All right, let's quickly show the game before we continue. All right. I generated some songs for this because copyright stuff. So, as you can see, you need to move on the beat. And then you can go down. Oh man, I'm so bad at my own games. Load. And then you can pick an update. Bonus points if you can tell me which band this is supposed to be. Rammstein, yeah! Oh, that was loud. And I died. Of course, as you by now expect, we have our dashboarding here. Very important. With our highest combo, how many beats we hit, how many beats we missed, enemies defeated, etc., etc., etc. We use the with sound annotation, for example, for the beat sound. Can you imagine a future where you can annotate your methods with sound, and then your application crashes, and you just download an MP3 file, and you just sit back and chill and listen to it, and like, oh yeah, I hear what it goes wrong around 1 minute and 23. And of course, the upgrades, they are tiered, right? So you saw it a little bit. So you need to unlock certain upgrades before you can unlock the next tier of the upgrade. But now you can guess what I use for that: Spring Security. Basically, so we have this gate service, and with a spell expression, you can basically very easily say, okay, it needs to have a certain authority, the authority name, and then every time you unlock an upgrade, you give authority to the next upgrade, and then basically every time your upgrade repository, which is a GPA repository, is just pulling that, and that works actually quite well out of the box. So that's quite nice. I also have a medium song. Anybody that thinks, hey, I'm pretty good with rhythm games, I want to give it a try. Come. Okay. So this song is about how much I hate daily stand-ups. Because I feel as an industry, we should have outgrown them.
I close my eyes. I
Okay.
drift away. No meaning. Just breathe. Just sleep. Ding. Daily stand up in 30 seconds. Heartbeat racing, camera on. Soul deleted, hope is gone. Microphone unmute, survive. 3, 2, 1.
So yeah, I'm doing better in the faster song than the slower song. That's good. Okay, let's. So as I move around, you can notice there is a little ghost behind me, and every time I miss a beat, I'm put that at the ghost, right? Let's stop this. Can anybody guess how that works? Can somebody tell me what the transaction manager does? Right? Well, if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. So a transactional manager, all it kind of does is every X amount of milliseconds or seconds or whatever you say, it creates a snapshot or it commits something or whatever. And then if it sees an exception in its scope, in its transaction scope, it basically rolls back to that snapshot. And that is all we do here. So every 5 beats, I put on a snapshot. That is our save state. And then if I miss a beat, I raise a beat missed exception. And the transactional manager will sit there like, you suck, go back. And that is basically how it works. And it works surprisingly easy. So I'm not sure if the Spring team knew they basically made an autosave system for games when they introduced transactional. But I don't know. I'm pretty sure that was the intended idea behind it. You saw an easy song, you saw a medium song. Of course, there's a hard song. Can anybody? So I could not bring it to my heart to generate the hard song because there's only one hard song when it comes to rhythm games. Does anybody know what I'm referring to? Okay, I always thought that question was harder. So yeah, Through the Fire and the Flames by Dragon Force. Sorry? Good luck. Yeah, thank you very much. Let's see if I'll even be able to move. I should probably add like a God mode or a I'm presenting mode. Come on. That's about like exactly how it went 10 years ago, Guitar Hero. The intro, I can do this, and then it starts, and like, okay. I guess that's it. That's the end. Yeah, and I think that is a little bit all the weird stuff I do to make this work, or weird stuff. Some might say it's weird. I think it is a natural evolution of the ecosystem. This is my favorite part. This is where I shout things that I want implemented and being too lazy to do it myself. So I really think the Spring team should ASAP introduce MP3 or WAV support. Right? It's 2026. I think it's necessary for us to be able to debug our production environments. And while we're at it, some dedicated rendering support. Maybe combined with a GPU abstraction layer so that you can actually load 3D models and stuff like that very easily without having to do weird stuff with external libraries and things, et cetera, et cetera. And good input system, because the Java Swing one is not good. So something else. And would be nice if I didn't have to calculate my own collisions all the time, you know. There are people smarter than me out there that can probably do it better than me. And while we're at it, add all this as well. Occlusion culling, very important. Textures, sync management, line in parallel background, spreadsheet manager. And I think once we have all that, we might be getting close to it becoming a game engine. I have to say, when I started this, I was like, yeah, I wonder how this is going to turn out. But it was a surprisingly fun experience. And it worked surprisingly well. Once I started kind of leaving behind the conventions and what people taught me over the year that how I should use things, I was like, you don't tell me how I should use it. I'll use it however I want. And then things started making a lot of sense. And then suddenly things like sound and a sound annotation. I think I didn't even show it. Like I also have this update annotation. Yeah, so I have like this update bean. And what I can do with this is basically mark update functions all over my code base with that update, and it's collected by the processor and with a certain ordering, and it's executing these update methods based on the order, which is really nice because I don't have to inject this class anywhere anymore. I just throw the update annotation there, and it's run every frame, every tick. And I do the same. Do I have it here? Probably not. Render. Oh, wait. And I have also one for rendering. So you just slap this on your rendering functions, and then Spring collects all these methods. It just runs them every time the rendering loop refreshes. So basically, like that, you don't have to inject things left or right. They just work. And that is what I like about Spring, right? That is why we use it. It just works. That is what you want. So yeah, that was really a surprisingly fun and smooth experience. I've said this before, and I'm going to keep saying it till the end of times. Coding and code is your superpower. Maybe coding not anymore, because it might or might not be also generatable. But code, understanding code, thinking bytes, thinking what can I do, what of depraved thing can I do with this machine in front of me right now. So code is your superpower. Don't forget it, and don't ever use it wisely. Just go out, and that's a very selfish thing I say here, but because personally I love seeing people doing these kind of projects. When I saw that that somebody ported Doom to TypeScript types, that was like Christmas for me, reading about it, how they did it and stuff like that. That is the content I love to see. So hopefully maybe next year I'll see somebody of you standing here giving a presentation about, I don't know, using Postgres as a database, yes, as a game engine. I think using Postgres as a database is not very unique per se. And maybe another tip for everyone: if you want to really learn how something works, and really want to get to the nitty-gritty of things, make a game with it. And then suddenly, once things start running every frame, so every 16 milliseconds, then suddenly you'll start to see where the bottlenecks are and what works, what doesn't work, what really matters in terms of performance. I've heard so many times people say, yeah, but those beam processors, that is slow, and it's slowing my super fast REST endpoint that is called twice a day. And then now I can show them this. I was like, I don't think it's that slow. My game is still at 60 frames per second. So yeah. So who thinks we should now all go to the Broadcom people and start telling them, hey, where is Spring Boot starter games? Who thinks, yes, let's do this? Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope you had fun. Thanks for watching. You can find me on some places. If you have questions, I'll be around the rest of the day, and feel free to come up to me. Thanks.